right, hello, health heads. Welcome and thank you for checking in to this dose of the Healthcare Uprising. I'm your producer, Jeremy Carr, here with your host, Heather Pierce, who is now going to tell us what's on the agenda for today. Heather?
Today we have Dr. Maheen Masoof-Adamson, who is the CEO and founder of Soof Solutions, and she's also a clinical professor with Stanford University. So more smart, brilliant people. Yes, she does.
Full-on neuroscientist.
Yes, but super down to earth. We love our doctors. Anyway, she's doing something really amazing with Soof Solutions. It's basically to help people with language after stroke or for if they're going through any kind of other medical condition that has taken their voice away, using an app, literally an app like your phone, your iPad, to communicate. So that's all I'm going to tell you. You got to listen to the show.
It's cool medicine, and it's very cool tech that they're developing to go with the medicine. So yeah, check this one out. This could be the future of everything right here. So without further ado, here's our conversation with Dr. Maheen Masoof-Adamson from, I lost it, Soof Solutions.
Maybe you need that app.
Maybe.
Hi, and welcome to the Healthcare Uprising podcast. Today we have with us Dr. Maheen Masoof-Adamson. She is the CEO and founder of Soof Solutions and also a clinical professor at Stanford University. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited too.
Yes. All right.
We get a lot of Stanford people on here, actually.
We really do.
I feel like we've had a good half dozen Stanford people on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Some smart folks. I tell you, we get to meet, I say this all the time, we get to meet some of the coolest, most interesting, brilliant people.
Doing the coolest, most interesting stuff.
Yeah. So
that's why I keep showing up.
Let's talk about the cool, interesting stuff that you're doing with Soof Solutions, which you had shared with me. You started into this space after your father had a stroke and had loss of language. So tell us where kind of your origin story, where this idea came from, and kind of your background too about, obviously you're teaching at Stanford too. So that's a big deal.
Right. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm a neuroscientist, which means I have a PhD and not an MD. So I've been doing research in that realm at Stanford, as well as working with veterans for about 20 years. And when I was finishing my PhD and finishing my postdoctoral fellowship, my father had a stroke. And at that time when, now neuroscience PhD is very well known and everybody's really into it. But when I was doing it, people were like, what are you doing? That's crazy. And it was when you finish your PhD in neuroscience, you're like, oh, I know about the brain. I really know the brain. And you feel very accomplished because, you have a PhD. Well, I finished my fellowship and my father had a stroke. And when he had a stroke, I thought I knew everything about the brain, but I couldn't help him. He had aphasia, which is something that basically is damage to the brain through stroke that basically you cannot speak. And there's different ways of having different parts of aphasia, but the one that my father had was he could understand most stuff, not completely, but he could not speak. He completely lost his motor control. And he was a very boisterous man in the sense that he would always be telling stories, and he wrote an autobiography. He would walk in a room and he would basically take over the room. And when he had aphasia, we couldn't understand what he wanted. So it took us 15 minutes to understand that he wanted a glass of water. And the whole family was devastated. He was in his early 70s at that time. And it was just horrible to see, and it was painful. He was diagnosed with depression immediately, and then after that, he was able to, sorry, I had to close the door. After that, he had another stroke within 3 months, and then he passed away. So it was really awful for the whole family, and it was a while ago. But then I kept thinking about how we could enhance communication between patient and caregiver and the provider. And it gave me this idea when I was doing a faculty fellowship at Stanford, at the biodesign school. And the idea was that we should have something in our hands immediately to be able to communicate. And the thing that we have in our hand is our iPhone, our phone. So I devised a way to use the camera, the existing camera on an Apple iPhone and an Apple iPad. And the idea was when you have an iPad in front of a patient and they can actually use their eyes to pick up a picture of what's displayed on the iPad of what they need. And it can go from the iPad to a caregiver's phone. So immediately the caregiver would know that they need a glass of water. They would come and give them a glass of water. Their head movement and their eye movements will be recorded. And then if the caregiver takes their time to give them a glass of water, the caregiver actually gets dinged. So there's a certain kind of monitoring going on so that your needs are met. So in a manner, what you're doing is these 3-app solution allows you to communicate between the patient, the caregiver, and the provider. And it's applicable both to the patient as well as directly to the patient and caregiver, but also to nursing homes and other facilities that are really looking for some kind of assessments of need. So coming from my father, by the way, the company is called Masoof Solutions because my father's name was Masoof. And so coming from what happened to my father, I've taken it on to everybody who cannot communicate.
Yeah, that's amazing. And as you were talking about this, because I know obviously stroke was the initial, but there's a lot of different ways that people lose their language. And I was thinking about Christine Rallo, who just did the show with us. She was diagnosed with
Guillain-Barré.
Still can't say it right.
Guillain-Barré.
And
Yes,
Still not
GBS.
saying it right.
Yeah.
GBS, right? And we did a
GBS.
whole 2-part show with her as part of our human series where she lost the ability to speak. And that was horribly frustrating. And I'm like, oh my God, if she had had this, what a life changer that would have been.
All she could really do was move her eyes.
Mhm.
Right. And that's the interesting part is that eyes are part of our brain and we never think of them like that. I mean, they can tell so many stories and everybody talks about detection and diagnosis, but they can also be used to communicate without speaking. Because I wanted something that was non-language based because we have so many immigrants. My father, his English was perfect, but you know, when I'm in pain, I'm always speaking in my own language. When I'm in fear, I speak in my own language. So it's easier to have something that's non-language based so you're not, obstructed by that. And ALS, GBS, MS, people who are intubated, children with brain cancer, there's so many populations that need this. And yeah, so I'm really excited to bring it to the community.
Yeah, to so many people. And actually, you mentioned the word aphasia. Can you explain what that actually means? And it was also dawned on me. One of my best friends actually, she had a stroke like 2 years ago. She fortunately never lost that language piece. But again, it was just thinking about how relevant this tool is because it's everywhere.
It
I could
is.
probably name more, right? That could use it.
Oh,
But,
yeah, absolutely.
it's
So
amazing.
yeah, aphasia is basically like a speech language pathologist would tell you. It's the loss of the ability to communicate. And to put it in an emotional term, when my father passed away, he did not get his last words. Every single person needs their last words. He couldn't speak. There's aphasia in which you can speak, but you speak gibberish. You make no sense because you think you're making sense, but you're putting words together that make no sense. There's aphasia in which you have obstruction that your motor control is gone. There's aphasia in which you can understand, but you're unable to speak. There's aphasia in which you speak, but you can't understand. So so the language centers in the brain are basically affected because they're right next to the motor cortex as well. So sometimes when you have, so it's contralateral, right? So if you are right-handed and you get a left hemisphere stroke, left hemisphere in the brain is responsible mostly for language. So you lose language and you also use the ability to use your right hand. So stroke patients, this is just an example and you can apply it to other diseases as well. or problems is that stroke patients go through what's called occupational therapy. So they are taught again how to use their hand. They go through speech language pathology, which is they're taught again how to use speech. They also are go through physical therapy so that their use of their hand is back. And they also go through all these different types of therapies. And at the same time, they also have to go through mental because a lot of them have depression afterwards. So literally, in the old numbers about 4 years ago, 177,000 people out of 255 just in the US have depression after stroke.
Wow. That's a lot.
I mean, it makes sense though, right? Because I mean, your brain just, I mean, you just got punched in the brain to
Oh
be
yeah.
as, you know,
It's
brutally as I can make it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's got to have an effect on your mentality, on
oh
your
yeah.
emotional state and everything.
There's some people who've written books about this, and there's several books out there, and you can just look in Amazon, and there's a professor at Stanford who went through a stroke, and she came out of it, and her husband helped her, and I think the book is called The Identity Thief. And it is a brilliant book because it really does steal your identity. I love talking. I love communicating. And I'm the one who sends voice messages a lot these days on WhatsApp and on text because I feel like my intonation and what I'm really feeling doesn't come across on text. And
True.
yeah, it doesn't. And especially if you have a relationship with somebody and you're texting and immediately you end up having a fight and you're like, wait, I was just joking. Like the whole idea of language, like the intonation, the way you speak, your hand gestures, your face, everything matters a lot. And I think if I lost my ability to speak, I would be diagnosed with depression within 10 minutes.
Oh, you and me both.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, think about it. I mean, my God.
I can't imagine not being able to talk. That's like my gift. I mean, that's why I have this podcast.
I know you guys are amazing. Yeah.
I'm actually more of a writer myself. Is that a loss of words like written is like all language is just gone, or it's just the verbal?
No. It's also dysgraphia. Like
It's all gone.
it depends. There's different versions of it, right? So for each person, there's different variability, like depending on where the damage is. And of course, remember that younger you are, the more your brain is going to recuperate. So you mentioned your friend. A lot of the people, sometimes they don't lose their language. I actually had one of my friend's mom just had a stroke and she recovered. She was in her 70s. She recovered.
Oh, wow.
She recovered so well. I just spoke with her. She's teaching, she's a principal of a school and she's back at work. And so sometimes you don't lose it, but dysgraphia or having the inability to write, inability to read, inability to understand, it depends, like it can all go away and sometimes it comes back. And that's another thing with the app that I created. It kind of grows with you. So if you understand words, then we can switch the pictures to words. If you understand pictures more, then we display pictures. We also you can use your hands instead of your eyes when your movement in the hand comes back. So you can add pictures to it. So we don't have like other apps have like these libraries of like fruit and vegetables, and we didn't do that. We made it so that you can take a picture of what you like and insert it into the app.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you're watching some Netflix show, like I started watching Bait last night, I can take a picture of Bait, put it in there. So
I like pictures of the actual people in your life, and people in your family, so it make it so much streamline the process so much if you can get specific pictures rather than generalities.
The things you care about.
Exactly. And it makes it more personalize it, and then you want to learn about it and you want to be part of it and you want to use it because it's yours, it's personal. And yeah, so
Okay, and this is what happens to me when we have these conversations. All these things pop into my head. I get these ideas, and as you're talking, I'm thinking about what about for deaf people, right? Or we'll say hard of hearing, or in that realm. And I specifically was thinking about a recent episode of the show The Pit that I'm absolutely obsessed with.
Oh, I want to watch that, but I don't have HBO.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's so good. And there's a woman who is deaf who comes in and they're having trouble with the machine or the technology that they rolled into the ER to help communicate with the doctors. Like, wouldn't this be amazing? Like, I feel like this is what that it would solve everything. Like,
Yeah,
forget
it
your
would.
machines and your translators, right?
I
They don't
think,
have,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but shouldn't a hospital have somebody who knows sign language?
They do, but it was the ER, and
It's just in the moment.
it's chaos,
In the
Well,
moment.
right?
it's
And so,
very chaotic. So I'll give you an example of this. I've been to the ICU and I've been to the ER when I was doing all this research for this, and I really wanted to help the patients, inpatient and an ER. It is so chaotic.
mhm,
The speech language pathologist doesn't even get to the patient until like 12 hours later, because there's so much going on
right.
until, and 12 hours later, and then all they're worried about in the beginning is swallowing. So the speech
Mm.
part comes way later, right? And then there's iPads hanging on the wall that no one's using because it's just crazy. But you're absolutely right. Putting it in the deaf community, they can also use their fingers. So if they get really irritated but not using their eyes, they can use their fingers. And I think it's a really good idea.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, sometimes these things come to me. It's from watching that show.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything that could possibly ever happen in an ER happens in
In every episode.
the pit.
Yeah.
That's
It
so
just
cool.
does.
My son told me about it. He has HBO. He sent me the login. I'm gonna log it in and try to do it. So
Yes, you highly recommend. Yeah, I love that show. So your app though, it's uses, and I'm looking at these words here to make sure I say it correctly, gaze tracking. So can you explain that a little bit, like how
right.
the actual technology
So
works? Yeah.
you know how when you have an iPad or you have your phone and you are using it, and then Apple kind of tracks your eyes so that
Yes.
they're always doing it. So they can pull up things that you've been looking at and they show up more because they're using AI on it. So I wanted to use something that was already available. I didn't want to create a device because it takes 10 years to get approval from FDA. I didn't want, because there's eye tracking devices out there already that, that people in wheelchairs use, and they're like this big and they have a huge eye tracker and it's amazing eye tracking. But it's an extra device and it takes about a few months to get it. It's a lot of training and it's expensive. So I wanted something that was already there. So I used the eye tracking camera that's an AR kit that's available in the iPhone and the iPad. What it does is that as you're looking on the screen, say there's a picture of a glass of water. As you're looking at so I worked with a company and changed the technology so that my eye can choose that glass of water. And it literally turns green and it gets selected and it goes from the iPad to the phone that's with the caregiver. So the caregiver kind of knows that you need a glass of water and they can walk in the vicinity of the patient and say, task complete, no longer needed, or wrong selection. Those are the three things they can do. They can't do it from somewhere in the house. They have to be in the vicinity of the patient. So it's geographically set up. Now, the reason I say it's gaze tracking is because my app is not just eye tracking. It's not just tracking your eyes. It's tracking your gaze. And gaze in essence means we're also looking at your head movement.
Oh.
So, which is cool because what we want to do later on is that when we have this very local data of like your X, Y, and Z axis, we want to develop your own eye health score. So each person has their own, because of age and because of how much time you spend on screen or whatever, your saccades are your saccades, like your movement of the eyeballs, the way you read things. There's a certain average that everyone does. So mine is much slower than my 16-year-old daughter's.
Makes sense, right?
And
As we
so,
age.
exactly. And so the app is designed to kind of align with what your speed is. And then if you have a stroke, then every day as you use the app, you'll be like, okay, I want a glass of juice in the morning and I want a glass of wine at night and, or whatever. So it's like a whole trend. And this is how long it takes me to do it. So it's developed its own eye health score. So maybe in 2 weeks, God forbid, I have another stroke. I'm tilted my head. I'm not ordering enough things. I'm not asking for things. My head is tilted. I'm like 2 standard deviations away from what I usually do in terms of gaze tracking. And that's when we're able to like have like a detection, like, oh, there's something wrong. something is wrong, then we can tell the caregiver, hey, check on your patient. They're not doing this.
Hmm.
So we want this app to not just be a communication app, but also like a monitoring app and also something that can help caregivers so that when my father had a second stroke, it took us like 5 hours to take him to the hospital, and this
Oh, so you didn't realize it
he fell
right
in the
away.
bathroom. He fell in the bathroom, and we picked him up, and he was able he because he had already had one stroke, so we didn't know like what was going on because he was already not speaking. So we were like, what is going on? So we put him back in bed, and there were like four of us in the house, and we were just looking at him, and he just kind of head started tilting this way. And that's when I said, this is way back in 2008. And I said, okay, let's take him to the hospital. And we did. But if something like this happens electronically and you're able to detect it, wouldn't it be easier?
That's huge. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually knowing what's going on in real time. So that's a big thing with strokes is people can have a stroke and nobody even realizes it for
Yeah.
so long that by the time you get medical attention, the damage is already done. Like like it's so much worse than it would have been if you knew what was happening in real time.
Yeah.
That happened to
And
my granddad, his stroke.
yeah, it's devastating. But they are the when the ambulance comes, people, they have this whole cheat sheet that they ask you, and it's actually pretty good. But you have to call the ambulance. You have to, bring the people to you. And it's it's a very trying time. Like I've seen when you're under stress, your whole system doesn't work correctly.
Oh yeah. It really doesn't.
It
Even the
doesn't.
best of us, right? Even the
Even
most
the best of
skilled,
us. Yeah.
talented, trained people. I think I was saying that when my husband had a really bad accident last year, and we
Sorry.
were actually re-listening to the episodes that we'd done about his fall. And I'm like, I've been in healthcare for over 20 something years. And like, I work in this industry. I was like, it doesn't matter when you're in crisis, like everything goes out the window. Doesn't matter. You're like, you're focused on your person or maybe yourself. And everything is just like complete mush in your brain.
Yeah, and anxiety is a big thing, and it's we have these hormones, fight or flight or whatever, and they
Hmm.
also your change your vision. Like I become more of a tunnel vision person, like my peripheral vision goes away. And I was talking to somebody about this who had a trauma incident, and we were discussing this is just last week, is the whole key in life for us, for people who are healthy and who are not, is to know your own signs for your health care, for your health, trauma, whatever. Like I know when I'm anxious, what happens to me, and I'm old enough to know my breath changes, my peripheral vision changes, and how do I handle that? Because whatever I go through is going to affect everyone who I'm working with, my children, everything. So how do I manage that? So knowing the signs for everything, even just with stroke or even with us ourselves, is a very big deal.
And stroke, I mean, I just feel like as we've been talking, we've been naming off, oh, his granddad, my dad had a stroke. It didn't, what do you call it? It didn't take away his faculties, but he did have one, right? My friend had one. I mean, it's taken her 2 years to recover. She'll never get full, use of her left hand back.
Yeah, I mean, it always leaves some kind of mark.
Yeah, but it's common. I mean, it's common. And it sounds like when you do have a stroke, you're very susceptible to having more. Is that pretty true?
Uh,
What are some of the stats around that?
so the older numbers are 18 to 20% have a second stroke.
Okay, that's a pretty high
It's a big
percentage.
number, but it's lower in high income areas, lower in places where help
Huh.
is really easily needed. Now, I just returned, I'm from Pakistan, and my mom still lives there, and my mom's 83. And I just returned from there, and I am a visiting professor at a very big medical school there, and it's very affluent, but also serves the very poor community as well. And you can see a huge difference in high income versus low income people, right?
Hmm.
And you see that a lot in developing countries. And here, the area we live in, I live very close to I'm in the Bay Area. It's high income, very high income. And so even now, like if like the how fast help gets there is going to be very different from how it is in the middle of, the farmland in Sacramento.
Right.
So
Yep.
income really does make a difference in this, and how easily you can get rehab, and how easily you can be in a nursing home.
Yeah. And just, rural areas in general, that's kind of something that comes up on the show a lot is just the issues of access, right? And efficiency and just getting to see a dang doctor.
It's really
Yeah.
hard. And during COVID times, there was a saying that I used to say and that I used to use a lot. I don't know who came up with it. I think it might have been a Lancet article. Your zip code tells you more about your health than your genetic code.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've heard that, and it's
Yeah.
so true. And that's one thing that I want to really do, and I'm almost there, is I want to convert my Apple product into an Android product,
Mhm.
because there's a woman that visited the hospital in Karachi, Pakistan, with a 7-year-old kid who has brain cancer and he cannot talk. And he asked if Soof was available. She asked in Android because she does not have the money to buy Apple.
Oh, I was thinking that as you were saying it, Apple is definitely kind of falls in that more like luxury kind of
Yeah.
higher. It tends to be your
So
higher
I
income
do.
people.
I could go on all day about what I don't like about Apple. I could make a whole
He
episode on
does
it.
not have an Apple phone. I'm a huge Apple fan. I have been for a long time. So,
Well, I've just talked to an engineer, and they've already basically converted this
so it's
technology to
happening.
Android. It's
Nice.
happening. It has to. I mean,
Yeah.
this poor woman in the village asked for it, and I was like, I gotta do it.
How can I not?
Yeah, it's half the world, half the world's on Apple and the other half's not.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Well,
expensive, and I don't want
Yeah.
that to be. Yeah. So
yeah.
You
Well,
can,
that's good news.
I mean, you buy an Apple phone for $1,200 and they want you to buy another one next year. You're like,
Oh,
and they
it's ridiculous.
purposefully make them obsolete so fast that,
Yeah.
yeah, poor people can't afford Apple phones. No way.
Yeah. It's
yep.
definitely not out there. Well, that's good to hear that it's coming on Android. Do you have kind of a timeline for that or?
I'm actually talking to him next week. I want it to look as sleek as Apple. So Apple looks good. That's the
Mhm.
problem, is that it just looks so nice. So we're trying to make it as close to, but it probably would be ready in about 2 months.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, we'll have to make sure that you keep us updated on that, and then we'll make sure we share it. So this is I'm thinking I want to jump into a couple of other areas to
I should say it's going to be like a month before this comes out. So
oh
when this
so
comes out, we'll be a month closer to that happening.
I will let you guys know. And I do want to also say that the apps are available on Apple apps right now, and this is FDA cleared for non-significant risk. And it's
okay.
being used in about 3 hospitals for a pilot study.
Yeah, and I definitely want to hear about the pilot studies too. So let's get did you have another question,
What's
Jeremy?
the app actually called? Is it Soof Solutions or is that just okay? That's the actual.
So
Go
there's
ahead.
three. There's a patient app that's Swoop Solutions, because it only works on the iPad, because iPad has more real estate because it's bigger. And then we have Swoop Solutions Provider, and we have Swoop Solutions Caregiver.
Gotcha.
Oh, cool.
That's really cool. That's a really good segue into the one thing I wanted to talk about was the abilities of I don't know if it's, or capabilities around neglect monitoring, which we were kind of tapping into earlier in the conversation about the caretaker like being in the room, that sort of thing. Can you share about what that looks like for the patient and the caretaker?
Sure. So, the caregiver could be anybody. Caregiver could be your spouse or your daughter. It could be someone in a nursing home who's a nurse or somebody. And when I want my loved one to be in a nursing home, I want them to be taken care of really well. And I want the nursing home to tell me that they have some kind of a measure that they can show me to say, yes, the needs are being met.
Hmm.
And if you look online and you do some literature search and see what they have now, they don't really have any kind of neglect monitoring score, really, that they give to Medicare or Medicaid. So we developed something called the neglect monitoring score, which is basically the number of things that they asked for, whether they were met by the, whether they were given to them by the caregiver, and in how much time were they given. So if it's like it's been 5 minutes and they have not been given a glass of water, this is just arbitrary number. You can set it. It starts going, it once it gives them a notice and they're not moving, they're hanging out doing whatever, painting their nails, and it will give them another ding saying you are getting in the orange zone. You better go do this. And then if they don't go give the need, make the need met, then it would go into red zone. So the idea for neglect monitoring is you want to keep the score, the time as low as possible. And the way we're doing this, and we're just starting to do this, and we have a pilot study approved to be done at big St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like several different elderly care centers, and they're very excited about this. They're going to be using this. And what they want to do is they have in their electronic medical records, they have this thing where the nurse goes and meets the patient every single time the patient calls, right? So we're able to have a comparison group. So we can have in the EMR electronic medical record, we can see how many times the nurse goes to see the patient. And then we can see how that changes if they're using Soof solutions. So they may have more frequent visits, but shorter and more needs met. So that's what we want. That's the kind of data we want to get out of these pilot studies and show insurance companies that, hey, we're actually making a difference. Their needs are being met and your neglect monitoring score is much lower.
Right.
Yeah, the efficiency matters. You can get more done for more people and do it cheaper. There you go.
Well, and I'm just thinking too, in terms of if you're delivering better care. So like, let's say you're showing up more frequently, with that kind of anti-neglect, right? I mean, not to say that nurses are neglectful, but like certainly their plates go on, and that's a whole other thing, right? Like nurses are being stretched thin, right? Like so they can only
They are.
they can only do as much as they can do. But I wonder if by doing it better, right? By having those notifications, that monitoring, could that also result in better health outcomes for the patient and maybe even getting them out of there quicker?
Absolutely.
Inpatient. Yeah.
In fact, if you talk to my Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Toby Barak, he is the one who would say, we are also going to be looking at hospital stays. So from nursing home, do they go to hospitals? And if they do, that's bad. And if those hospital stays are shorter or less, then yeah, that's exactly what we want. That shows that we are providing a service that's making it more efficient, making better quality of life, less depression, moving people out of the hospital into their homes or better care in the nursing homes. One of the nursing homes that I'm working with that also wants to do a pilot is Burlingame Senior Care. And they're amazing as well. And another few nursing homes in San Diego, one of them actually said, wouldn't it be great to have Soof solutions on our flyer telling caregivers that, hey, we're using this highly innovative solution to communicate with your loved one, and this is how it works, and it could be a selling point for them.
Absolutely. That's my marketing brain's going, that's a huge selling point for somebody. Talk about the peace of mind that you get. You're like, okay, they're really going to take good care of you.
I can go way beyond that. The tech you're developing with the gaze tracking, I mean, there's gaming applications of that. You could replace, I mean, you could make a hands-free internet entirely with
yes
like that.
Yes,
That's a huge leap forward in technology if you start applying that in like
it is
everything.
The only reason I didn't do goggles or like big the headset,
the VR,
because I've done a lot of VR research in past, so I'd have like 4 or 5 publications in VR. The only reason I didn't do that is because patients don't like stuff on their face. They get irritated, and I wanted something that they could use. But the gaming industry is using eye tracking incredibly. Like, it is amazing what they're able to do. So if these, and we actually have like one of the patients that I was working with, one of our subjects wanted PlayStation and Netflix pictures on, because they wanted to play. So I have them in the app, and they selected it and they wanted to go to PlayStation to play some game, and it was really interesting. But
There you
yeah,
go. Yeah, I mean, if that technology could change everything with how the internet works,
yeah,
computers work.
it's
Like you
really
literally wouldn't need
applicable.
keyboards anymore at a certain point. You could just
Mhm.
look at it and move it over there,
Mhm.
and whatever you do,
Mhm.
and like I could produce this podcast without touching a key if you actually advance that technology enough into other
Right.
things.
I think if you are able to, I mean, I love using writing. I actually still take notes,
Yeah,
I
me
still,
too. I've
yeah.
piles of notebooks in
I
my
Because
have a
office.
pen in my hand right now.
yeah, and I think and the interesting thing about this is that our brains, like my daughter's brain and my son's brains, they're changing so much because I learned from orthographic writing. So there's a whole thing in cognitive neuroscience where it's like this orthographic, like you write and it goes in your working memory, and that's how you
Yeah,
remember
you
it.
write it down and you like imprint it in
You
your
you
brain.
you
I
read
do.
it and then you write it down yourself and then you read it out loud
Yeah.
and it will stay in your brain. That was a huge thing for me
Like,
back in school.
doesn't everybody have that skill? No.
I
Oh,
think
you
the
got to learn it.
kids, it's changing with the
They don't.
TikTok, with the amount of information that they're able to keep in their brain is like short. So the
Yeah.
reels, so I make reels for marketing, right? And
Uh-huh.
my head of growth is like, make it short, make it short. I'm like, I'm a scientist. I like to explain things. No, I
I
don't
am
mean make it short.
verbose.
I'm verbose.
Yes. I appreciate your verboseness, just for the record.
I know I sent a it's
Concepts.
crazy.
You can't shorthand a big concept when
So
when you're dealing
hard.
with neuroscience. There's going to be things that it's going to take a while to explain.
Exactly.
Like you
And
can't do it in 3 minutes. You can't.
I mean, I mean, people like, there's difference between Tolstoy and Ernest Hemingway, right? So
Sure.
they both are amazing writers, but Hemingway was a genius. He could say things that could make you cry in like 4 words,
Right.
and I don't have that capacity.
Yeah, that's your head of growth, but hopefully will help you with that part. I run into the same problem, and I'm in like, for my work. That's like the kind of work I do is taking really complex like healthcare concepts and making it palatable for like your, regular Joe
Yeah.
Schmo, whatever, anyone walking on the sidewalk. And it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. I struggle with it too. And I've been doing this a long time and I still have a hard time. So,
I write haiku, so I can condense anything to 17 syllables.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you know what's really funny to me is that, words and communication, like language and communication, make us human. Like
mhm.
there is no other, I really believe that two things make us human: the fact that we walk on legs and the fact that we can communicate like this.
Yeah.
And it's like to be able to explain to people in words concepts that are healthcare related and that they understand, it's so difficult because unlike any other profession, we are dealing with human beings at their worst.
Yep.
They are sick. They are either themselves sick or their loved one is sick. Their mind is not working the way it's supposed to, and they are mental anguish, and you're supposed to explain to them how to get insurance to pay for this, or there's this cancer treatment. I mean, it's just crazy.
Mhm.
So
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, definitely a lot we can do in that space. And you mentioned pilots too. I wanted to make sure that we touched on that a little bit. So now Soof Solutions, like me as an individual, I can go and download that app myself. And is there a cost for that, by the way?
So right now we have everything that is on the website. So you can go to the website and
Mhm.
you can click and you can start downloading the apps. So what'll happen is there's 3 apps and you can download them. You can use it with the patient, caregiver, and provider. And what will happen is you'll get connected to our team and they will send you a specific ID and you can use it. And right now we have it for free because we want people to use it.
Sure.
We have freemium. And once you like it and you use it, then we will charge you $50 a month for direct DTC, like direct to customer.
Sure.
And it involves, having access. Basically, it's biometric data that's being used and then it involves people on our team that are engaged with you, that talk to you, train you, and all that, calibration and everything. If you're a nursing home or if you're a hospital or outpatient and you want to use it, we have a large enterprise price as well.
Gotcha.
We are selling, and we haven't sold yet because we are just starting to scale,
Hmm.
and we are just starting to go out there. We're raising money right now. We are actually on a crowdfunding platform called Start Engine, and
Okay.
we are raising money on it for the next 2 months. And it would be really, really cool when you publish this podcast. People are interested, they can go and they can own a bit of Soup Solutions because you can put in as little as $500.
Okay,
And
cool.
that's
This will
only.
be out in a month from recording, so you'll still have a month left for people
Yes,
to find
yes.
you.
And
Put those links in the show notes.
exactly. And it's a way to like gain visibility, but also for people to understand that there's a lot happening in this space. And if they put in money in it, then they can follow us and see where we're going with this, because we are going international with this. We have 3 pilot studies. I mentioned Burlingame Senior Care. I'm talking to them. They are very interested in putting in using Soup Solutions. We have we have a big thing going on with St. Luke's in Kansas City, and we have IRB approval, Institution Review Board approval to do it. So that's another thing. We also have a pilot study that I just went and checked out with children in pediatrics department in a Aga Khan University in Karachi, Pakistan, and that's
Oh, wow.
children with cancer, brain cancer, and other children who cannot speak. In fact, we did some reels there that would actually be used for marketing, and it's quite interesting. We have an IRB approval there as well, and that's where I need to put it on Android. So that's my pathway to Android, because I want it to be in developing countries, it'll be all Android.
Oh, okay.
And we want to be able to publish papers. We're going to conferences. We want enough data to show to insurance that, hey, right now we're charging money to the customers, whether it's a direct customer or whether it's a large enterprise. But we want enough data to go to insurance and say, hey, look, we're making a difference. Can you please, put it under a CPT code and get it taken care of?
Oh, yeah, there you go. And that was actually one of the things I wanted to ask. Now, you mentioned health systems, certainly, senior care programs, things like that. But would you be going in through insurance carriers as well? I could see that, like, as Medicare would be like your first
Yes.
place to go.
Absolutely, yes. And that's what we want to do. And we want to collect that neglect monitoring score and use it for the nursing homes, because they could actually, use that to get, more out of it. Insurance would be great for direct to customers, but
Hmm.
I want to be able to tell the nursing homes like how much this is going to help you guys.
Right. Right, right, right.
Yeah. And if Medicare covers it, if you can get that going, that's that. I mean, because who needs this more than people who have Medicare?
Right.
Exactly.
That's your main demographic, I would think, right?
And everybody talks about this, that we are not getting younger. That's true, but we're also living longer
Hmm.
and much longer. And we have to deal with all our ailments. And most people, like, are quite healthy. Like, even after they have gone through, injuries, they are quite healthy, and they live long. And so you need apps that kind of grow with you, that are personalized, that you can use every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I've got so many things like swirling around in my head about where this can go.
Oh, the applications are literally endless. We're just talking about how video games can use it.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally endless.
I have some
You
really
just got to
good.
think of how you want to use it once you use
There's
the tech.
I have some really good, wonderful investors who believe in me, like angel investors, and one of them
Uh-huh.
actually had this idea that I should use it in when you're watching a movie in the disability chairs, so they can order food.
There you
Oh,
go. There you
It's
go.
the applications are endless. I know I'm focusing right now on particular populations, but the
yeah.
application is endless. And yeah, I'm actually very excited about it. Every time I see someone use it, I just kind of go, can't talk, soof it.
Sufit.
Oh, you even got a tagline. That's brilliant.
Just
Yep.
soof it.
Can't talk, soup it.
Can't
I
talk
love
soup it.
it.
And
I
I
love
want
it.
that. I want that on a billboard in San Francisco because you know how you go
Yep.
over the bridge in SF and all the
Yeah.
billboards are about AI. That's what
Uh-huh.
I want on my own billboard, and it says "Can't talk soup it."
Oh, I hope that
Right.
happens for you.
That's a t-shirt right there. You
It
need a
is.
t-shirt.
And then the funny thing is my daughter always says like that we cross the bridge and go into Oakland and it's all cannabis and brain injury ads.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know where you are by the advertising, right?
Oh, that's hilarious. Hadn't thought about that. With the little time we do have left with you, I wanna touch on a couple other things too. We haven't really spoken too much about your time being a clinical professor with Stanford. You also mentioned you've worked with women's veterans groups, I think.
Yes, I do. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, which we love women's health. We love all the things for the
Sure.
ladies on this show. And actually, my friend that I was mentioning who had the stroke, she's a female veteran, as a matter of fact, now disabled, fully disabled veteran because of her stroke. So I'm super passionate about this. What what have you done there that like what was happening in that space, even in addition to
Sure.
obviously your father having the stroke that kind of has
Right, right.
inspired you and helped you kind of build all of this?
So I've built so I've been doing this for a long time, and really Soof Solutions came on board about 3 years ago, and I have my own lab, and the lab really focuses on what's called neuromodulation, which is trying to use innovative treatments for psychiatric problems as well as cognitive problems. So we use all these. So we have three. I'll give you three examples, three innovative ways of dealing it, and I'll just touch on it because I know we don't have time. One is using these innovative, amazing electromagnets, and we put them on certain parts of your brain so that we can treat you within a week with these accelerated treatments so that we can, it's FDA approved for major depressive disorder. We can also use it for trying to get, regress or prevent cognitive decline, anxiety, PTSD. So it's called repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation. So I do a lot of clinical trials in that, and I work with veterans who've got traumatic brain injury, veterans who have been exposed to military environmental exposures and have these psychiatric problems. I also use low intensity focused ultrasound, which, unlike the magnet I just told you about, can go deeper into the brain. And that is something that's just coming online. So very innovative stuff. The last thing I'll mention is we also are using psychedelics, which is one
We
of the
love talking about psychedelics on the
yeah.
show.
So I
Uh,
I'm a co-author on all these papers that were published in Nature and others at Stanford on ibogaine, which is the vet study that we sent to. So I'm a co-author on that, and we just got a paper published in which we looked at cortical brain thickness as well as brain structure and function and how that changed with ibogaine. So we're looking at all these really interesting complementary integrative health techniques, I call them. They're not like they are in, I wouldn't put them in the same category as yoga and cognitive behavioral therapy. They're a little bit more invasive than that. But, there's magnetic, I just mentioned, there's ultrasound, I mentioned, there's psychedelics, I mentioned. These are treatment things that you do that you can help mitigate or remit these problems that veterans have. In terms of women's health is something that has been so much in the news, in terms of menopause and,
mhm.
all these things like infertility and breast cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer. We have really, really touched the tip of the iceberg with this because when I was in grad school, and this is going to tell you my age, I was told that you shouldn't study female rats because it's really hard to study them because there's why
So just don't.
exactly, so just
The
don't. And I
misogyny extends to rats.
and I was,
All of
or
this, I
mice,
think.
right? And I was like, you know what? You're right. They're a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna understand.
You're like, well,
And then you get to you study, you start figuring out things like when you. So I am a director of research for a women's health center that was funded by Congress because we want to look at the impact of military environmental exposures on women's health. So women stands for Women's Operational Military Exposure Network. And so women, and we are a center of excellence. And our entire goal is to figure out when women have gone to war, have gone to conflicts, they have been exposed to open burn pits, airborne hazards, all kinds of different things that they've inhaled. They've also had traumatic brain injury, things, burn pits, things that they've. So all of these things, well, the difference is men, there's about almost 20% women now in the forces, and gone up from 11%. And the numbers may be a little bit less than what I'm saying. But the idea is that they have different things happen to them because we have the reproductive system. So we have things that can happen that are breast cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer. There's other things such as infertility. Now, I'm not saying that these are all related to military environmental exposures, but because women have a different anatomy, it is our job to find out how they're doing after they've been exposed to all this. If they have any kind of presumptions or any kind of connection. So we look at data, we look at mechanisms, we look at blood, biomarkers, brain, brain mechanisms, and all kinds of things so that we can understand how we can help our women veterans, whether we can help them with information, education, clinical diagnosis, treatment, and also just to let them know that, hey, it may not be related to your that you served in a conflict, and it's just how you're just aging. So it is our job as a research center to find those links and to help women veterans lead a better quality of life.
Wow. Well, you have your hands on a lot of things, no doubt. Masoof Solutions is the latest and
yeah, I really am very happy that I was able to do this because, when you get to a certain level, you wear a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was in grad school, I would get really, really upset if I had one presentation to do and I would work at it for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't want to look at it the day before.
Right. So true.
It's because you're used to it now. You're older, you've been doing it. So yeah.
We have wisdom and years of experience and knowledge.
Yes. But then you also have menopause and you forget everything.
Thank you for saying that. I'm 100% in that world. And I'm like, I can't I literally, it was the worst thing happened to me yesterday that I was like, I cannot remember this person's name. And I know them very, very well. Took me like 30 minutes of searching on Facebook to find this guy's name. And I was like, menopause. That's it. That's all I got to say. Like, yeah. It's wild. Like, it's such a real thing. Like the brain fog and the memory loss.
Yeah, it's brain fog. But the good thing is it's subjective cognitive complaint, which is not related to dementia or cognitive decline. It is just that part for the menopause.
All right.
You're just glitchy. You're not broken. You're just glitchy.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. And we still, but we still look pretty. So it's okay.
Right. Yeah. That's right. I still put my pants on every morning.
Oh, it's
and my earrings.
We're doing fine.
And I am a big believer in the male menopause because I didn't used to cry at commercials.
Oh, which commercial did you cry at?
Men in their 50s start crying all the time.
Oh, wow.
I hear this a lot. This is a very common thing.
Okay.
And it's male menopause. Our testosterone levels drop, our hormones start changing. Like there is it's nothing like what women have to go through.
Right.
I'm not equating them.
No, I agree.
We do have our own version of that.
Welcome
we
to the
really do. Like any guy in his 50s out there who's like, why am I like suddenly crying at movies that I've watched before and didn't cry? Because you're in menopause, dude. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going through menopause.
Yeah, and I have to say that, when we look at data, one of the things that we do is we always compare it to men because men also have like their own, like men have breast cancer.
Right.
They've gone through a lot of stuff and then our job is to also serve them. So it's a very interesting, but I always age match them and try to see that if I could just keep the male and female as the only difference.
Interesting. Wow. Well,
that's actually apt. Yeah, I like that.
You being a neuroscientist and gosh, and all the things that you do, I'd love to see where your work continues to go. But
we're starting to bring everybody back a year after their first appearance.
I would love that.
Yeah. Well, the offer's already out there. We haven't even finished recording. our first one, and we're like, you need to come back. No, this is fantastic. I can't wait to see where you go.
I want to see where that gaze tracking tech is in a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Advancements are made with that, because that's literally world-changing type technology if
It is.
scaled up to apply to everything.
Yeah, every time I show it to people, they're like, "What? This is awesome!" Like I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to come back to you. You guys have made me feel so comfortable.
Oh, good.
You guys are very easygoing about this, and you have the right questions to ask. So thank you very much.
We like to just hang out and talk to people. We don't even call it interviews. It's just conversations on this. So.
That's
Yeah.
when I met her, she told me about you, and she made me feel so comfortable because I used to stutter when I was younger, so I always get nervous when I'm talking to other people. But I think I may have stuttered a little bit in the beginning, but now
Haven't even noticed.
I didn't notice a thing.
No, didn't even notice. And even if you did, that's okay, because, we're like a big warm hug here at the Uprising.
that's so awesome. I have to recommend you guys to my other friends and
Oh,
colleagues.
bring them on. We would love to have them. Well, before we let you go, I want to make sure that you can share where somebody would find you, like if there's a health system or a senior care program or nursing facility, et cetera, or whoever would like to work with Soof Solutions, even for your, direct to
Yes.
consumer base. Where would they find you? Social, online, all the things. And we'll be sure to put that in the show notes too.
Yes, I will send it to you all. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we are also on Reddit. We are trying to create a community for ourselves so we can help people answer questions about this. The
Yeah,
best
great
way to
idea.
get a hold of me would be just to look at Soof Solutions website. So it's soofsolutions.com, SOOF solutions.com. And
Perfect.
that way it has like a
Cool. We're looking at it right now. Very cool website.
yeah, and then on top on the right hand upper corner it says try Soof, and it takes
Yep.
you to all the apps, and you can contact us and we'll send you everything. And yeah, and we have a great Insta page where we have these reels which have to be short.
Yep. That's how it works.
Thanks for joining us on the Healthcare Uprising. Make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons before you go, and take a moment to think of a friend and hit that share button. You can find us on all the major audio platforms, and we've got video on YouTube if you want to watch us in action.
You can also find us on social media on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Just search Healthcare Uprising to find us. And if you're a new company with a cool new product, if you're someone innovating alternative methods for the health and wellness space, or if you have a personal healthcare journey you'd like to share with us here at the Uprising, please email us at healthcareuprising@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you about coming on the show. Well, that's all for this dose of Healthcare Uprising. Until the next time, keep looking for the good in the world, because sometimes it's where you least expect it.
We are not doctors and we don't play one on TV. If you need medical advice, consult with your physician or a healthcare professional. This has been a Shut Up production.
Shut up!